Look, I'm going to be straight with you right now. The NFL quarterback carousel never stops spinning, and what we're witnessing with the Browns and Bengals situation is about to get messier than anyone anticipated. You've got two franchises heading in completely opposite directions, and right in the middle of all this chaos sits a young quarterback who's about to make the biggest decision of his career. Let me paint the picture for you. Cleveland is a dumpster fire right now. I'm not sugarcoating it. Their offensive scheme looks like it was drawn up on a napkin at halftime. Kevin Stefanski stands on that sideline every Sunday looking like he just got told his dog ran away. The play calling is predictable, the execution is terrible, and honestly, it feels like opposing defensive coordinators are reading their signals from the parking lot. 8 straight losses stretching back to last season. 8. That's not a slump, that's a full-blown organizational crisis. And here's where it gets interesting. The Cincinnati Bengals aren't just casually window shopping anymore. They're rolling up with serious money, serious intent, and a whole lot of desperation after watching Joe Burrow deal with injury after injury. $30 million. That's the number floating around, and it's not just speculation at this point. Multiple sources are confirming the Bengals have identified their top quarterback targets for depth. And surprise, surprise, Shedeur Sanders is sitting pretty in that top 5. Now, before you start thinking this is just another offseason rumor that'll fade away, let me tell you why this one's different. Mirror Sports USA just confirmed the Bengals are actively scouting for quarterback depth. They're not playing games. They're not testing the waters. They're making moves because they know their window with Burrow might be shrinking, and they need insurance that can actually play, not just hold a clipboard. The Browns already let Kenny Pickett walk, which in hindsight looks like a catastrophic mistake, and now they're staring down the barrel of potentially losing another quarterback prospect because they can't figure out how to develop talent properly. It's like watching someone hold a winning lottery ticket and then accidentally put it through the washing machine. The incompetence is almost impressive at this point. You want to know what's really telling? Stephen A. Smith jumped into this conversation, and when Stephen A. gets involved, you know it's about to blow up. He came out publicly backing the idea of Sanders joining the Bengals, said it makes perfect sense given Burrow's injury concerns. And here's the kicker, he didn't just say Sanders would be good insurance. He said it's only a matter of time before Sanders becomes the face of that offense. That's not analyst speak for maybe. That's analyst speak for this is happening. The fan reaction has been absolutely wild. Bengals fans are losing their minds on social media, flooding every comment section demanding the team make this deal happen. They're not just excited, they're convinced Sanders has that same swagger, that same fearless energy that made Burrow special when he first arrived. And honestly, watching the tape, they might not be wrong. Sanders has tools. He's got arm talent, mobility, football IQ. The question has never been about his ability. It's been about opportunity. Meanwhile, back in Cleveland, the locker room is reportedly starting to fracture. Some players are frustrated because they feel like the organization isn't being honest about what's really going on. Others are questioning whether the front office is more concerned with saving face than actually building a winner. That's the kind of talk that destroys teams from the inside out. Once players stop trusting the people making decisions, you might as well start planning for next year's draft. And here's something that should terrify Browns fans. Sanders has gone completely silent. No social media posts addressing the rumors. No public statements, nothing. Just dead silence. And in the NFL, silence speaks volumes. When a player goes quiet during trade speculation, it usually means one of two things. Either they're being told to keep their mouth shut by their agent, or they've already mentally checked out and are waiting for the paperwork to clear. Reports started surfacing that Sanders has been cleaning up his social media, removing team-related posts, changing profile pictures, unfollowing Browns accounts. Now, could that all be coincidence? Sure, but when you stack up all these little signs together, it starts looking less like coincidence and more like preparation. He's scrubbing his digital footprint before making a major move, which is exactly what players do when they know they're about to switch jerseys. Kevin Stefanski got asked directly about Sanders' future in a press conference, and his response was absolutely telling. He said, and I quote, "We're focused on the team we have right now. That's it. No reassurance, no denial, no passionate defense of his young quarterback. Just a cold corporate non-answer that basically confirmed everyone's suspicions. When your head coach can't even muster up a strong endorsement during a media session, you know the writing's on the wall." The Bengals, meanwhile, are playing this perfectly. They're staying quiet publicly, but behind the scenes, insiders say negotiations are heating up fast. Cincinnati's front office believes bringing Sanders in could completely change the the trajectory of their offense. They see him as a game changer, someone who can step up and command the field if Burrow's recovery takes longer than expected. And given Burrow's injury history, that's not exactly a wild hypothetical. Cam Newton even jumped into the conversation, comparing Sanders' potential rise to legendary underdog stories like Tom Brady and Dak Prescott, both guys who stepped in when opportunity knocked and never looked back. Cam said underdog stories are what make football magic, and Sanders fits that mold perfectly. The hunger, the grind, the talent, it's all there. When a former MVP is publicly comparing you to Brady, that's not hype, that's recognition of something special. What's fascinating is how differently the two fan bases are reacting. Bengals fans are already designing mock-ups of Sanders in Cincinnati jerseys. Hashtags are trending. The city's buzzing with excitement like it's draft night. They're treating this like it's already a done deal, celebrating before the ink even hits the paper. That's the kind of energy that can actually influence front office decisions. When an entire city is screaming for a move, executives start feeling pressure to deliver. Cleveland fans, on the other hand, are panicking. You've got desperate messages flooding social media begging the team not to let Sanders go. They're watching another potential franchise player slip through their fingers, and they're powerless to stop it. Some are saying let him go, arguing that Stefanski's broken system is holding Sanders back anyway. Others are begging the front office to do whatever it takes to keep him. The fan base is literally tearing itself apart over this decision. Behind closed doors, sources say Browns executives are scrambling to figure out damage control if Sanders walks. They know this wouldn't just be a roster move, it would be a public relations nightmare. The media would roast them, fans would revolt, and every free agent considering Cleveland would see yet another example of organizational dysfunction. You can't keep hemorrhaging talent and expect players to want to join your mess. The locker room energy in Cleveland is reportedly toxic right now. Players are walking on eggshells. Some are quietly preparing for life without Sanders. Others are frustrated that management isn't being transparent. That's not just uncomfortable, that's dangerous. When a team starts operating with distrust and uncertainty, it shows up on the field. Bad communication leads to missed assignments, blown plays, and losses piling up. Compare that to Cincinnati, where the vibe couldn't be more positive. Reporters close to the Bengals say the team has cleared cap space and adjusted contracts, moves that conveniently line up perfectly with a potential Sanders signing. The dots are connecting so fast it's almost comical. When a team starts making financial maneuvers that create exactly the right amount of space for a specific player, that's not coincidence. That's preparation. And get this, word around the league is that Bengals players have already reached out to Sanders privately, telling him how much they'd love to have him join the squad. That's massive. When active players start recruiting someone before a deal's even official, it means they're bought in. They see the vision. They want it to happen. That kind of player endorsement carries weight, especially for a young quarterback trying to figure out where he fits best. Some league insiders are even suggesting the deal might already be unofficially sealed, just waiting for the right moment to announce. The Bengals have reportedly sent over a final offer that's even bigger than the initial $30 million figure, with bonuses and guaranteed money stacked on top. That's not a casual inquiry. That's a franchise saying we're all in, and we're willing to prove it with our checkbook. The question everyone keeps asking is what happens to Cleveland if Sanders leaves? Can they stay competitive? Honestly, probably not. They're already struggling with the roster they have. Losing a young quarterback with legitimate potential would be devastating. You'd be looking at another rebuild, another coaching staff on the hot seat, another few years of mediocrity while the rest of the division keeps getting better. And what about the Bengals? Can Sanders actually handle the pressure of stepping into Joe Burrow's shadow and leading a city that's starving for a Super Bowl? That's not a small ask. Cincinnati has tasted success recently. They've been to the Super Bowl. They know what championship caliber football looks like. If Sanders comes in and struggles, the fan base won't be patient forever. He'd be under a microscope from day one. But here's the thing. Sanders has shown he thrives under pressure. He's played in big games. He's handled media attention. He's got the confidence and the swagger you want in a franchise quarterback. The talent is absolutely there. The question is whether Cleveland's dysfunction has damaged his development or whether a fresh start in Cincinnati could unlock everything he's capable of. The entire AFC North is watching this unfold like it's a primetime drama. Baltimore's sitting back with popcorn, probably thrilled that two division rivals are creating chaos for themselves. Pittsburgh's quietly building while everyone else is distracted, and Cleveland and Cincinnati are locked in this high-stakes poker game, each trying to figure out who's bluffing and who's actually holding the winning hand. What makes this situation so wild is that one decision, one signature, one phone call could completely shift the balance of power. If Sanders goes to Cincinnati and balls out, the Bengals could dominate the division for years. If he stays in Cleveland and the Browns finally figure out how to use him properly, they could turn their entire franchise around. But if Cleveland loses him and he succeeds elsewhere, that organization might not recover for a decade. Every hour that passes without a statement from Sanders makes people more convinced the move is coming. The silence is deafening. Players around the league have started dropping cryptic tweets. Nothing specific, but everyone knows what they're hinting at. Big move coming. New chapter loading. The NFL rumor mill is spinning so fast, even seasoned analysts can't keep up anymore. If this transfer actually happens, it'll go down as one of the most shocking quarterback moves in recent memory. Not because Sanders is a household name yet, but because of everything it represents. A young player taking control of his career, a struggling franchise losing another star, a contender making an aggressive move to secure their future, and two division rivals getting even more tangled up in drama. The pressure in Cleveland has hit a breaking point. Team executives are reportedly holding emergency meetings trying to figure out how to match or counter Cincinnati's offer. But everyone knows they're backed into a corner. They can't afford to lose Sanders, but they also can't promise him the freedom and opportunity he's been desperate for. It's a no-win situation, and they did it to themselves. Some Browns players are frustrated because they've watched this pattern before. Talented guys come in, get misused, get frustrated, and eventually leave. It's been the Cleveland way for years, and until something fundamentally changes with how that organization operates, nothing's going to improve. You can't keep running the same plays and expecting different results. Bengals bars are reportedly packed with fans talking about Sanders like he's already on the roster. Sports radio shows are hyping up the potential signing. Even some of Burrow's teammates have been teasing big news coming soon on social media. Something is clearly in motion, and it feels like the announcement could drop any day now. The countdown has begun. Once everything becomes official, the NFL landscape shifts. Cleveland will have to explain how they let another quarterback prospect walk. Cincinnati will have to prove Sanders was worth the investment. And Sanders himself will finally get the chance to show what he can really do when given a legitimate opportunity. So where do you stand on this? Should Sanders stay loyal to a Browns organization that's given him nothing but frustration? Or should he take that massive Bengals offer and bet on himself in a situation where he might actually be developed properly? The debate is raging everywhere, and honestly, there's no clear right answer. It all depends on what Sanders values more, loyalty to a struggling franchise or opportunity with a contender. One thing's for sure, this story is far from over, and whatever happens next is going to have massive ripple effects across the entire league. Stay tuned, because this saga is about to reach its conclusion, and when it does, someone's going to be celebrating while someone else is left picking up the pieces.